I don't know what to say. Today we're going to be talking about Trolls World Tour. Trolls World Tour is, of course, the second movie in the little Trolls universe. They did have a TV show that is on Netflix, however, that's completely irrelevant to the two movies, essentially. Even though they use the same characters and likeness, there's just a lot of discrepancy, so in terms of canon, they don't really matter. Trolls World Tour didn't really make a theater run because of this whole coronavirus situation, so it went on home release where you could rent it for $20. Now, I get it. $20 for some people is almost 2 to 3 people, which is, if you're doing a home theater release, that sounds about right. So $20, it started April 10th of 2020 is when they started this home theater release fiasco situation that a lot of other movies are starting to do now. So this is something that's not new. The movie is rated PG for mild, rude humor, which of course is something that you guys might have noticed out of the first movie. So that's fairly similar. The plot sort of follows after the original movie, though you technically don't need to see the original, but you also do. The plot essentially follows this Queen of Rock. She is trying to unite these 6 magical strings together on one instrument to rule the troll world with only rock and roll. I don't know what this means for Bergens. I don't know what this means for all the other creatures of this weird world that we're in, but right now we're just focusing on trolls. That's what the entire movie focuses on. There is some side plot stuff going on, particularly Cooper. He's got this big side plot. Right now, looking at the scores right now, the movie hasn't been out for too long, but right now the meta score is set at 51. The IMDb rating is set at a 6.1. Rotten Tomatoes tomato meter is set at a 73, and the audience score is set at a 63. So that should kind of give you a little bit of a detail on what everyone's thinking about this movie. I really was excited for this movie. As a dad of 2 kids, I love some of these movies that they're putting out for kids. The first Trolls movie was really good. My son loves that movie. He watches it over and over again. He loves the TV show. He loves the music, the colors. It's so fun to him, and it's just super good. I think the plot narrative of the first movie was really good. I think it puts out a pretty good message. All in all, the first Trolls movie, I think, was actually kind of good. So I kind of had high hopes for the second one. They added more people, preferably for me. Ozzy Osbourne was in the movie for the king of rock and roll. I thought that was really good. I thought that was smart. I thought that was clever. It just shows how much detail they were trying to go in finding the right people to voice the right actors and to go through that. The problem came in a couple of different ways, though. First being, they introduced a lot of new stuff. They went from specifically one genre of music, which is pop. That's what the main trolls are. They're the trolls of pop. I don't know if you haven't figured that out already. That's kind of not good. But they have the trolls of pop, and then they have all the other genres. I know it's rock and roll, classical, country, jazz, and funk, and then pop. So the 6 main genres that they call them. And of course they said that there's genres in between, but these are the 6 main genres. And so the Queen is trying to take the strings, because there's a specific string of each one, and then the whole plot kind of revolves around that idea. The problem is it's very sporadic, especially at the beginning. Those who've seen the last Star Wars movie, episode 9, you're kind of familiar with that idea. It's just sporadic. There's so much going on that it's very hard to follow. It's very hard to keep track of, and that's the unfortunate part of the situation with it. When it comes to adding new music too, I think that's also a very ambitious idea, but it was also very much the problem. One of the main problems being that they added so much new music. They were still relying heavily on the pop music that they're used to and what they have licensing for, I'm guessing. But when they try to add the rock, and they try to add the country, and they try to add the jazz and the funk, they were starting to hit genres that not as many people listen to, especially when it comes to classical, where they had an orchestra. They had some of the very common orchestra music that people would hear normally but you can't dive too deep into it. Whereas in pop, they did a little mashup at one point, and they played several songs that everyone would probably know, and got a good chuckle out of because of the music that they use, and because everyone listens to it. And I think that's the problem. They were trying to add way too much, way too quickly in terms of music genre. Another thing I think they tried to do was they added characters that just weren't memorable. I remember one character in specific. You never know why she's there, or how she got there. She doesn't add to the plot in any way, shape, or form. She's just there. And that's the weird part. I don't know if there's other stuff going on that we should have known, but she's just there. She's just there. I don't know. And that's the hard part. And that's sort of the whole time I'm watching this movie, I'm sitting here going, what is going on? What is this? What is that? Why is this a thing? And I understand it's a universe we're still learning as we go kind of a deal, but it's still challenging, especially with it being a kid's movie, to add so much at one time. This movie is somewhere around 90, 110 minutes. It's a little over hour and a half kind of deal. It's not a long movie. Those who love longer movies aren't going to find themselves at home here. It's definitely short, and it feels short. It feels cut. That's the main problem. I think that's where the beginning of the movie really suffers, is that it just feels like there's not a whole lot left. It feels like they only kept the important bits and threw everything else out just to stay within this runtime goal that they had. And that's the unfortunate thing, is that I feel like if they would have built up the plot, made the movie just a little bit longer, I think it probably would have done well, a lot better than what the scores are showing. And that's an interesting thing, and this is something that in probably a lot of these videos concerning movies and TV shows, I think the scores really show for it. The only outlier in terms of the scores is the Rotten Tomatoes tomato meter, which is the critics. And I think that's going to be the interesting thing here. One of the things you're going to notice me gripe about in a lot of TV show and movie reviews is going to be the tomato meter. Rotten Tomatoes, to me, I don't think has a full grasp of what people like or what people enjoy out of movies. Now, there are a lot of times tomato meter, I believe, gets it right. There's also a lot of times I think it gets it wrong. These are one of those weird scenarios where I think it's wrong, but it's almost there. You see the Metascore at 51, the IMDb rating at 6.1, and the audience score is at a 63. Those are all saying it's okay. It's above 50%, but that's still failing in terms of grades. It's not the best movie in the world. It's not the worst movie in the world. It's just average. It's a movie that's kind of forgetful. It's a movie that you can go home and go, I don't know. But for some reason, the critics at the tomato meter, those who submitted their critic scores, they loved it. They really seem to have enjoyed this movie. They were making some comments that I don't know. It just seems different than what everyone else has been saying, and they do that a lot with other movies and shows. So when I do other videos regarding other movies, you're going to see me point these guys out a lot. Is they are very the tomato critics, for some reason, are just so different in terms of what they think we like or what they like and we don't. It's so different, and I don't understand it sometimes. I really don't. The style of the movie was also a really interesting one. I think it really shows the difference between what happens when you try and balance two worlds and then you heavily rely on one world for this movie to survive. In the first movie, you had trolls, happy, loving, caring, singing, colors, glitter everywhere. And then you have the Bergens, who are very dull, muted colors, more somber tone there. Sad all the time, or at least that's how they portrayed themselves at the beginning of the movie. The two worlds, collided, and in the movie you had times where it was super bright and colorful, and then there were times where it was very earthy. The two very distinct changes help blend the movie out and flatten this whole curve of what's going on in the film. Now that the entire movie is pushed up into the troll spectrum, it makes things so difficult to keep in line with what's going on, because you've got all this bright colors and music and personality, and everyone is just having their own high distinct personality, that it feels crowded and it feels sporadic. And that's just the word that I feel for this movie, is just sporadic. I watched this movie and it felt more like a highlight reel than a real movie. It was just so hard to follow. And that's just the hard part. It was so hard to follow sometimes. It was just so... I don't know if I'm giving it too much. I don't know if I'm critiquing it too hard because I wished it would have done better, or I had too much hopes for it. I just think that this movie could have been so much more than what it ended up being. I think that's the hard part. I know some people, especially like Star Wars fans and those who love certain movie series, or when they see their favorite book hit the big screen, you get this sort of expectation for what this should be, and all of a sudden it's not. And it's not what you expected it to be. Now, some would probably love this movie. Some kids would probably really love this movie. My son, who loves the first movie, couldn't sit through this one. I don't know why. He couldn't. I don't know. But there are some who might love it. There are some who might love this movie, and that's okay. Once again, we're here just to talk about opinions. We're here to see who likes what, and once again, I'm just trying to be a voice of what I believe and what I feel. So this movie, I think it was okay. I think it's forgetful in my mind. However, it is what it is for the most part. Really, I don't know. Let me know what you think about Trolls World Tour in the comments below. Comment whether or not you enjoyed the movie, whether or not you didn't. We're here to have a topic of conversation here, especially with these movies. So definitely comment down below. Don't forget to like the video if you really like this format, or if you'd like to see some things different. Of course, this is a brand new channel. This is something I'm trying to grow and evolve over time. So definitely comment down below what you want to see, what movies you want to see, TV shows, video games, books even, things of that nature. Tell me what you want to see, and I will try my best to review it for you. That's one of the things I love doing, is reviewing things, and that's why this whole channel is being created, is essentially to tell people about stuff. So definitely comment down below what you want to see next. Like the video if you enjoyed this video, or like the video when you agree or disagree. It helps with the whole YouTube algorithms. Go ahead and give suggestions of what you think you want to see next. I will be preparing a few videos ahead of time. However, there's definitely a lot of content I got a couple of video ideas on deck. However, I am definitely looking for future content to consume. So please let me know what content I should be looking out for next. Until next time, I'll see ya.